After a share of the spoils last week in Tralee, it resulted in take two between Kerry and Mayo today in Croke Park. It was the first of this year's Alliance Football League semi-finals. The second of our semi-finals was a repeat of the 2010 All-Ireland final, with Down looking to reverse a trend of poor results of late against Cork. And we had a huge hurling match today. It was all on the line for the two Anthonys. Daly versus Cunningham, Galway versus Dublin, and defeat meaning the dreaded drop for one of them. Hello, welcome to the programme on another important day in the Alliance Leagues. Now, we'll be getting right into it in just a moment, but first let me tell you that Colm O'Rourke and Tony Davis are here with me in studio to give us their views on those football semi-finals and more besides, including this weekend's GAA Congress. Croke Park today was the venue for this year's final four pairings in the Alliance Football League. Mayo's draw in Tralee last week ensured them the rematch against the Kerry men. Well, could they make it another fruitful encounter with the Kingdom? Commentary on this one is by Darragh Maloney.
There's a late change on the Kerry team with Declan O'Sullivan unavailable. He's replaced in their attack by Kieran O'Leary. It's a serious looking Kerry team with the likes of Mark O'Shea, Paul Galvin, Darren O'Sullivan and Aidan O'Mahony named along with Colm Cooper. Mayo have lost Aidan O'Shea to injury. That was expected. He's been troubled by a groin injury. Barry Moran takes his place in their 15. Conor Mortimer returns to the forward line with Cillian O'Connor kept in reserve. It's a bright start from Mayo, their captain Andy Moran. Conor Mortimer very cleverly just letting that ball sail over his head, deceiving Killian Young. Knew exactly what he was doing, Mortimer. And Mortimer with Jason Doherty ahead, steadies down and he's drawn that in beautifully. And that is a fantastic point from Conor Mortimer. And Mayo off to a flyer, 2 points to no score inside 3 minutes. Mayo attacking again. Keith Higgins. Andy Moran linking up the play well. Michael Conroy. Oh, that's wonderful football from Mayo. Keith Higgins, the cornerback, setting up this attack. Will he go himself? Higgins goes for the point, and he's got it too. Appeals for hanging onto the ball too long against Keith Higgins from Brendan Keeley, the Kerry goalkeeper. He did have it a long time, but nobody from Kerry could get close enough to it. Lee Keegan into the corner, and once again Michael Conroy is out in front of his man. Shane Enright having a bit of a torrid time. Clever little ball in towards Mortimer. That was brilliant, wonderful football from Mayo, and they are in the mood for this, no question about it. A real swagger to the way Mayo are playing this game, and Mortimer's got 3 out of their 4 points. Kieran Donaghy. Colm Gooch Cooper just drifting away behind, picking up the loose ball. That looks good. It looks really good, and it is an outstanding point from Colm Gooch Cooper. He's had a frustrating afternoon so far, like so many of his teammates. That's their first point from play from the Gooch. Kieran O'Leary finding some space now. O'Leary out to Colm Cooper. Wonderful dummy, and he tried it again. Colin Boyle got a hand in at the vital time. Here come Kerry again though. Mayo unable to do anything with that, and Cooper on with it quickly. Paul Galvin now. Galvin's got a little bit of space. It's all he needs, Paul Galvin, and he's hit it off the post. Keith Higgins relieved to see that drop into his hands. He'll be disappointed with himself, Paul Galvin. He didn't slot that over. Kieran O'Leary getting the better, certainly at the moment, of Keith Higgins. Now it's Patrick Curtin. Oh, that's a fine point. But Kieran O'Leary leading this Kerry revival, and Curtin getting his first of the afternoon. They're very excited about this young man in Kerry, and there we got a glimpse of just why that's the case. Just indications right now that Kerry are settling down, and Kieran O'Leary has been one of the main reasons as to why. Keith Higgins has scored a point. He's been attacking but needs to tighten up on O'Leary, and O'Leary letting that fly. And that is a gorgeous point from Kieran O'Leary. He's been the outstanding forward on show, a late addition to their starting 15 with Declan O'Sullivan unavailable. And that was a beautiful point from O'Leary, and they're eating into this Mayo advantage. Brian Sheehan. Peter Crowley, and Sheehan goes again. Totally in charge of the situation, Brian Sheehan, and he finishes off the attack with a really nice point. Kerry level for the first time in this match with Mayo. That's for Jason Doherty, but it needed to be 100% accurate. It wasn't, and Paul Galvin in a spot of bother. Here's Andy Moran for Mayo. Moran drills it through. Goal on his mind, but they'll take the point, and they edge in front again. Paul Galvin seemed to have that particular situation in total control. Actually headed the ball, and Moran got it and drilled it, loads of power in it, but just couldn't keep it down. Pick up by Paul Galvin. Here he goes, and here come Kerry. Colin Cooper, good movement to his right. Here's Patrick Curtin. Back to Cooper. Paul Galvin, well positioned. Galvin hardly had time to look at the post. Made good contact with it. Has he managed to keep it on target? Yes, he has, and they're just a point behind. That was better from Kerry. Kieran Donaghy is the furthest forward, and Brian Sheehan aiming this towards Donaghy. Ger Cafferty there with him, and now it's Donaghy. Darren O'Sullivan, possibilities here, and a good save by David Clark. The snapshot from Darren O'Sullivan was heading into the corner, but Clark able to make the save. Paul Galvin. Well, Donaghy his target. Donald Vaughan back there, and Donaghy's got it. Needs help, and he's got it from Darren O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan for Kerry slots that over, and it's the Route 1 football that we've become so used to seeing when Kieran Donaghy plays in close to the opponent's goal, and it worked a treat there. Colin Cooper to Donica Walsh. Substitutions have made a difference for Kerry, brighten things up. Kieran Donaghy moving in close to goal makes a huge difference, and O'Donoghue in, and Kerry score the goal that puts them even further in front. And it's James O'Donoghue who's hurt himself in the process. He just pulled on that and buried it into the back of the net, and all of a sudden, well, things look bleak for Mayo. David Clark couldn't get out quickly enough, and Clark's line breached. Pat Hart of Mayo, they need a score now just to steady it down, and Hart playing a fair bit of football with it. Alan Dillon weaving and bobbing, trying to get through, and now the shot from Colin Boyle, and they needed that, Mayo. And Boyle has got it and punches the air in delight. His first point, Mayo's second of the second half. Mayo in arrears, but now 4 behind Kerry. Kieran Donaghy. Oh, what was Donaghy thinking there? And he's given it straight to Alan Dillon. Mayo need a goal. Dillon is there with Galvin. He's dragged down. Is it going to be a penalty? Yes, I think it is. The referee signals that it is a penalty. What on earth was Kieran Donaghy doing here? Just lost concentration. It came off the outside of his right boot. Alan Dillon, quickest to react, and Galvin dragged him down. This has just got to go in. Not a very long run up from Pat Hart. On its way, and buried it. Wonderful penalty, and there's just a point between them, and about 2.5 minutes to go. Pat Hart, the calmest man in Croke Park, absolutely buried it. Brendan Keeley went the right way. Colin Boyle has it for Mayo. Last chance saloon. Killian O'Connor now. Well, Killian O'Connor goes down, and Mayo will have a free to force extra time. If it goes over, they'll get extra time. And Killian O'Connor has won a free for his team. Killian O'Connor from Ballintubber with the free, and it's a beauty, and that's sailed over, and Mayo have come back from the dead. A goal and a point without reply, and that surely means extra time. Alan Dillon of Mayo, Kerry with plenty of numbers back to try and cover this Mayo attack. Kerry seem to have control of the ball, but they've lost it again. End of Arley. Now Cillian O'Connor. O'Connor has put that over, so that's Mayo's first point of the first period of extra time, and just one between them. James O'Donoghue, Kerry goal scorer, getting away from Higgins, then having to go back. Now it's Barry John Keane. That looks good. It is very good. Kerry's first from play in extra time. It's a 2-point game again. Too high, it sails away from Barry John Keane, but he may get it back from Colin Cooper. Cooper spins around. They're pulling and dragging him. Gets away from Ger Cafferty now. Barry John Keane, and that has gone over with the aid of the woodwork. Third time that we've seen the post hit. The first time it's actually hit the post and gone over the bar, and it's a 3-point lead for Kerry. Mayo need a score badly. 4th minute of the second period of extra time. Donald Vaughan for Mayo gets it back. Oh, it's Colin Boyle actually on this occasion. Boyle with the shot, and Boyle with the goal. How did he manage to put that into the back of the net? And Boyle has gone down injured, and we're level again. 2:14 to 1:17. But this was an exceptional finish. How on earth did he do that? Colin Boyle, just an instinctive effort. Great determination from the wing-back. Now it's Richie Feeney for Mayo. Really taking it to Kerry. They look the fresher. Feeney for Mayo. This surely to win it, is it? And it's gone over from Richie Feeney. Mayo go a point in front with about 30 seconds remaining. Would Kerry take a draw at this minute? They are behind. James O'Donoghue. Barry John Keane has possession for Kerry. Into Kieran Donaghy. Donaghy. Now it's Buckley for Kerry. Turns back around. Paul Galvin now. Galvin held up. They were in for a goal, it seemed, and the ball, it's gone out for a 45. And Kieran Donaghy cleverly played it off the Mayo man and out for the 45. It surely will be the last kick of the game. We're now in the 3rd minute of added time at the end of extra time. Brian Sheehan for Kerry. It's good contact. Has he held it on target? No, he hasn't. He's put it wide. And it's all over. And Mayo have beaten Kerry by a point, and they go through to the league final. What a thrilling semi-final it was. It had absolutely everything. They drew last week in Tralee. Extra time needed to separate them. But Mayo it is who go through to the league final. 2:15 to Kerry's 1:17.
Yeah, Mayo showing a lot of character in that match and coming good in that extra time period. Tony Davis, you know, that was impressive from Mayo, because for a while in this league campaign they lost their way a little bit, but they've come good in the last couple of weeks. The big win over Dublin, the result down on Tralee, and of course that win today.
Yeah, well, I think the win today is very important for them. You know, it showed they were under pressure through the game with Kerry, and to Kerry they were playing in Croke Park. They never give up, they stuck in there. They were very aggressive in their defensive thing, and I suppose the important thing is they were able to close it out. You know, in the end of it, when they came back, they were able to get those scores, which up to here now Mayo weren't able to do that. But I think this year, like we saw hints of it last year, we saw against Dublin how they could play. They're developing into a very good team.
Yeah, from a Kerry point of view, Colin, it's unusual to see them, as we've seen once or twice lately, losing a lead in a match.
Well, we saw it in the All-Ireland final, I suppose,
yes.
and they won't like to be reminded of that because they still can't figure out how they lost that match. And again today, they had a 4-point lead, seemed to be in total control of the game. Kieran Donaghy kicks a crossfield pass which is intercepted, and again game runs away from them. So Kerry and 4-point leads don't seem to have worked very well in knockout games in Croke Park at the moment, and it will have stung them, even though a lot of people say Kerry won't mind the fact that maybe they're not meeting Cork again, but yet they still like to win, and the last few years has shown us that league form does hold in the championship.
One of the reasons, perhaps, Tony, why they lost that lead was through some of their own endeavours, if you know what I mean, because Mayo's got a couple of their scores, quite a few of their scores in actual fact, from turning over Kerry possession.
Yeah, I thought from watching the game in the first half, I thought nearly all the scores that Mayo got were either from Kerry mistakes or Kerry giving away silly fouls, and this is very un-Kerry-like, really. You know, if you look at the inserts we're showing there, there's a long ball into the corner, and it's a silly foul, and it's a tap over free from there. The next one, Killian goes up the field, intercepted by Keith Higgins. Now the play goes on, and Keith Higgins ends up going into the full forward line from the back line. Mightn't look pretty, but it's very effective. The ball goes straight over the bar. Here we have again, good ball in. Wins inside, I think that's Jason Doherty inside, plays the ball in, and another silly foul, another stupid foul, and a tap over free. Now, do this in championship and you could be beaten. Another ball, I think it's a bit harsh here. That to me is a harsh foul, but again it's in front of the goal, and it's another tap over free. But one point I'd like to make about Kerry, they've got about 7 very good players out of this league, so okay, they'll be sorry to lose this game today, but the likes of Peter Crowley at wing back is fantastic today, and Maher in midfield.
Let's talk about one of their established players, Kieran Donaghy. And I'm not talking about that peculiar kick across the field, the attempted pass, but his role in the team, because he started off in the Kerry jersey as a midfielder, then of course very effective as full forward. What do you make of it all? I
don't know really. I suppose Declan O'Sullivan was missing today, and it gave them if Declan was full forward today, his body languages and runs would dictate where they're supposed to kick the ball, but I thought he was sadly missed in today, and I thought Donaghy's best play was in around the full forward line. Fine kick in an Australian rules catch into Darren O'Sullivan, and he kicks the ball over. I thought he was more effective in there, and it gave Kerry a fulcrum for their attack. Donaghy would be well used to kicking balls into him. He upset him there, and James O'Neill goes in and finishes off a good goal, and that really brought it up to Kerry. Now we see him in front of the goal. This is the other side of him. He kicked away the ball, and it ends up in a penalty where Paul Galvin fouls him. In fact, there was a foul just before it that wasn't given by the referee. That should have been a tap over free. And look again, we saw him in front of the goal tapping the ball back. Quite subtle, very aware around the goal, and you would have put your shirt on Brian Shinn kicking that ball over the bar. That to make it level. But I think Mayo deserved to win the game.
They did, and again, to come back to something you were mentioning earlier on, when they were in a little bit of trouble, they got themselves out of it and they pushed on in the game. Yeah,
they pushed on, and I thought the whole thing was built on their defence. I thought their defence today was fantastic. And when they were really looking for scores, it was actually their defenders drove on. You had Donald Vaughan and you Colin Boyle and these lads from the back driving forward. Here we see them working the ball out. Kerry in the first half, they nullified the Kerry forwards inside. Here's Boyle putting his hand in a fantastic. Gooch and the lads inside didn't have that much space. Mayo just clogged up the centre channel and stopped them going through, dispossessed the ball, and straight away they were on the attack. And the amount of times they got forward, they got all the scores. There's Vaughan, he puts the ball in. Again, how he gets his leg to this, I'm not sure, but Colin Boyle got his leg to it. I hope he meant it, I think he did, but he got it anyway, it doesn't matter. Here we see Richie Feehan, this to win the game. Wing back comes forward, quite confident, kicks the ball over the bar. And I suppose, look, there's James on the sideline thinking, we have closed it out, we have beat Kerry and Croke Park, and it could be a good summer for Mayo.
All right, Tony, thanks for that. Well done to Mayo. Time for us to take a break here on League Sunday. Coming up later, Galway and Dublin in hurling. But when we come back, it's that second Football League semi-final between Cork and Down. Stay with us for that. However, back here on League Sunday, we turn our attention back to Croke Park and the Alliance League football semi-finals. Mayo already through to the April 29th final, but who would be joining them? Well, that issue was decided between Cork and Down. Our commentator on that game was Marty Morrissey.
The Rebels from Cork are without Graham Canty. Goalkeeper Alan Quirk returns to number one. The most influential line could turn out to be once again the inside line of Colm O'Neill, Aidan Walsh and Donncha O'Connor. The Turley brothers, Damien at cornerback and Peter wing forward, are named in a Down starting 15. Ambrose Rogers starts for Down against Cork for the first time ever, and along with Calum King could prove a formidable partnership in the middle of the field. In attack, Mark Poland and Conor Laverty have been doing well, but much still depends on the form of Benny Coulter. It's a bitterly cold afternoon in Croke Park, but for the footballers of Cork and Down, the temperature that'll be bothering them will be to see whether or not they can produce a winning performance. Crossfield ball is aimed at Colm O'Neill. He's scored 2 goals and 9 points in this campaign so far, coming through his own Callaghan. First chance of a score for Cork. The difference between the two teams, perhaps. Pearse O'Neill availing of the space and the opportunity to put Cork in front. First score of the game. Mark Poland comes out to gather.
Support the play!
Long ball inside towards Laverty. Gets a touch on. There's a chance of a goal, but he takes his points. The Cork full back line split wide open here. Really, Laverty, if he composed himself, he really could have had a crack at beating Alan Quirk. Running onto it is Aidan Carr. Arthur McConville showing early. Benny Coulter having a lash. Great score. All-star footballer, international rules player, Benny Coulter with his first point. Over this side is Aidan Walsh, who, as you can see, has 14 on his back. Normally we watch him at the middle of the field, but this league has seen him operating at the edge of the square. Lovely little jink by Colm O'Neill. 3 down footballers around him, and he still manages to squeeze it over the bar. Good score. They're beating the drum and playing the bagpipes. 2 of Cork's finest. Good running again off the ball as Cork look to use the fisted pass as much as possible. Pearse O'Neill and Kerrigan do a bit of a 1-2 between them. Caleb King comes in to challenge. Great run by O'Neill and a wonderful score. It's his second point of the match. And a very good score. Brendan McVeigh looking at various options before going down the middle route. Patrick Kelly flicking it back. Good interception. And Mark Poland. Benny Coulter. Great ball across again to Poland, who started the move. What about the finish? If this curls over the bar, it's a wonderful score. Fantastic football by Dow. That was the Poland-Coulter double act. Great score. Paul Kerrigan is available. Nice through ball. There's Colm O'Neill. Not hanging about with any fancy play, but hitting it sweetly between the posts. Cork go back in front by 6 points to 5, but O'Neill is already posing problems for the county of Down. Damien Turley taking up the running, gives it to his brother Peter. At the edge of the square, it's big Caleb King. Conor Laverty, nice little jig inside. Can he score, having done all the trickery? The most important thing is he can plant the ball between the posts with a lovely piece of skill. And good football again by Dow. Caleb King was involved. Conor Laverty provided the magic. It's his 3rd point of the game. Mark Poland, nowhere really to go. Half blocked by Aidan Walsh. Rebounds to Benny Coulter. There's a chance here. If he hits it, connects with it, and he does. And that is the fullback, Brendan McCardle. Arthur McConville lays it off as Aidan Carr. Pumping the ball in high. Now who is here? Benny Coulter. Over the bar, but who was marking him? Or who at least was supposed to be marking him? Because there was nobody home for Cork. And just for a moment, there was a chance here for Benny Coulter. A green flag rather than a white one. Benny Kelly saw the pass, the intended pass, read it well. Gould is doing all the hard work here. Backfires Kerrigan. Going to have a lash, and it's a pretty good effort. It's a great effort. It's Paul Kerrigan's 3rd point of the match. Conor McGinn is calling in the middle. 2 Cork players, defenders, are over there. Goes back outside towards Peter Turley. Pass is given to Aidan Carr. Hits it on the turn. It is a fantastic point. Wonderful score by Aidan Carr. Gerald Sullivan, Cork selector, with the yellow bib. Down manager James McCarthy beside him. Ball given away. Paul Kerrigan floats one in. Coming through is O'Neill. He's deadly from here. He really is a class act. Colm O'Neill knows exactly where to put the ball. Brilliant move that split open the down defence. Right man, right place, cracked it home. That's a goal and 4 points now for Colm O'Neill. Aidan Carr. Down far is Mark Poland. Down towards Caelan King, who's taken up residence at the edge of the square. Back far is Benny Coulter. Nice scale, good control. What about the finish? It's good enough. He still is the man in the crisis to deliver the goods. Goes the long ball towards McConville, and who touched the glass? Still not gone. Oh, that's well done. First Caelan King. It's rolling in. It's touched along the ground. The ball was fouled by the defender, and that is a penalty. McConville did very well. Caelan King's effort just coming off Alan Quirk. Jerry O'Sullivan touched the ball on the ground, and it's a penalty. This was bobbling all over the place. McConville, they'll debate about whether the ball was over the end line or not. McConville did well here, seemed to touch him there. Now, was it gone out over the end line or not? Tight call. So Aidan Carr facing Alan Quirk. Oh, well, that's how you take a penalty. Brilliant. Unstoppable. And from being 6 points down after about 40 minutes of action, down or back in the game. 113, 111. Dennis O'Sullivan flicking it back for his Donnacha O'Connor. Goalkeeper comes off his line, he drops it, and it's in the back of the net. Alan O'Connor will take the gift from the down goalkeeper and say thank you very much. Goalkeeper should have stayed on his goal line. Easy for Alan O'Connor to rattle the net. And suddenly you've sensed that it's game over and down or out of the Allianz National Football League. The referee blows the full-time whistle, but long before the 70th minute had arrived, Cork had this game in the bag. 2 goals in the second half, one by Colm O'Neill, who ended up with a goal at 6 points. The other by Alan O'Connor, after a goalkeeping mistake by Brendan McVeigh, gives Cork victory and a place in the final on a full-time score of Cork 217, down 112.
Yeah, less in it on the scoreboard than there really was in it, I think, in the run of play. However, it is Cork who make it through to another Football League final. And Colm O'Rourke, they won their All-Ireland 2 years ago. But in terms of the league, Cork have been very consistent the last couple of years. This is their third final if you take the Division 2 final 3 years ago.
Yeah, Cork are probably the most consistent county team in the country over the last 5 years. They've been involved in All-Ireland semi-finals, finals, league finals. So they've a marvellous level of consistency, and they have built up a very big panel as well. A lot of very good players, a lot of them now coming back from injury. Colm O'Neill, Daniel Goulden, Kieran Sheehan. They're going to be a serious threat to everybody this year. But today it seemed like a bit of a challenge match, or the opening of a pitch in the summer for most of the first half. There was no physicality about it. There was no atmosphere, I suppose, not helped by the small crowd. And it really was a sort of going through the motions, it appeared, for a lot of the time. And when Cork wanted to, they seemed to be able to up the tempo of the game whenever they liked.
And despite that, and despite the fact they've made another final, there's a lot of people down in Cork who'll be telling Conor Coonahan how he should be doing things.
But sure, there'll be people doing that anyway. You know, I suppose he has the team has been hugely consistent. I just tried to find out a while ago. I think in 5 years they've lost 7 games in league and championship. And as Colm said, they got to the concluding stages of all those things. So it's very hard to please people. I suppose people look at their style sometimes and say is very lateral and pedantic. They're trying to do something about that by putting Aidan Walsh in full forward and changing it around a bit, which was quite successful again today. But I thought Down did well in the first half today, but the goals did him again today.
They did, and that was a point that Tony, we were talking about this earlier on, that Tony was saying those goals have been fatal to Down against Cork, and that certainly proved to be the case.
Yeah, the games between Cork and Down have adopted a similar style over the last three in particular. Down keep with Cork for a while, and then in the last 15 minutes Cork just completely take over and burn them off. And it was the goals today. Brendan McVeigh comes out for a high ball, he doesn't get it. Alan O'Connor has an easy job, and I suppose we're going to see more of that with the change to the square ball rule coming in. Paddy Kelly, who was very busy today, very unselfish, and Colm O'Neill, who really had a spectacular game today, scoring a goal and 6 points. And he was everywhere. His kicking was fantastic. He kicks the ball very high, and Cork have an awful lot of left-footed players, which means it's more difficult to mark them, and especially when they get Goulding and Sheehan back, and there's O'Neill off his right foot. So it's going to be a big problem for Conor Coonahan picking a forward line, because really have added a lot more to it with Aidan Walsh in there at full forward, and they can kick the ball in long, and then they have the pace of Kerrigan and O'Neill coming through. So Cork now are shaping very well.
Just briefly, Tony, to come back to something Colin was talking about earlier on there, the venue today. I heard our radio colleagues going on about this, the lack of atmosphere, the fact that it should have been played someplace else apart from Croke Park with the team, with Kerry in it, Mayo, Cork obviously, and so on.
I suppose the first thing to acknowledge here is that things are tight now and people just won't travel anymore. And Cork and Kerry traditionally won't travel to Croke Park this time of year. It's hard to get them up for an All-Ireland semi-final, never mind for a National League. So it is hard, and there was no atmosphere. And that game, Cork and Down, well, when the goal went in, it was over, and it's not good for advertising the game, you know. Sure. Even if you're playing, you like to have some bit of buzz going on, and you know, any provincial ground probably would be better than Croke Park today.
I think it would be better, actually, the way things are now, that there's 4 teams, that whoever finishes first and second get home venue for the semi-finals, because a minibus would have brought all the Cork supporters today, and a couple of big buses would have brought all the Kerry supporters. So, you know, if it was a Saturday night game, maybe Páirc Uí Rinn, and a Sunday game today in Tralee, you probably would have had very big crowds.
All right, but in any event, lads, let's confirm then the Football League final fixtures. The Division 1 final will be contested by Mayo and Cork, while the Division 2 decider is Kildare versus Tyrone, and those games to be played on April 29th. I think we should also mention another match today, actually, probably the best game of the day. This is the one between Wicklow and Clare, which was important in deciding, Colm, who finished in Division 4, at the top of Division 4.
Yeah, it probably would have been the best game of all to be at. I'm sure down in Auckland there was great atmosphere, you know, a nice tight venue, big crowd, and Wicklow have now qualified. They had to win, Clare only needed a draw, so Wicklow and Fermanagh in the final, and it shows the progress that Wicklow have made. Miko, when he was there, didn't pass too much remarks about the league. Now they're up into Division 3, and of course in the first round of the championship they're playing Meath, who are also down in Division 3.
Tough on Clare, Colm.
Tough on Clare,
very hard
on
Clare.
Okay, now actually, let's go to some other events in football which was the subject of much talk during the week. And the first of those, Colm O'Rourke, is the managerial situation down in your own county. A decision to be made, of course, on Wednesday by the clubs about Seamus McEnany.
Yes, well, when Seamus McEnany was appointed, it was a very divisive thing in Meath. A lot of people felt that we shouldn't be going outside the county for a manager. Personally, I didn't think of it like that at the time. But it was divisive, and there was a lot of people opposed to him. And he's made bad errors of judgment, I thought, when he got rid of Liam Harnan, or when they jumped Liam Harnan and Barry Callahan. But in saying that, the treatment of him by the county board is not fair and it's not right.
So what's going to happen on Wednesday?
Well, I don't know what's going to happen, but the clubs are going to have a vote on this. Like the players are still supporting the manager, and the county board are looking to put the problems of all football in Meath on the manager, just the same as they did when they sacked Eamon O'Brien, which was also wrong a couple of years ago. And, you know, a person is entitled to respect and dignity. And Seamus McEnany, I don't care about how divisive the process were. I think that, you know, to try and pin the problems of Meath football on him is actually letting a lot of people off the hook.
And it's kind of a contrast to Val Andrews down in Cavan, Tony.
Yeah, I suppose the inverse there with Val Andrews is that the players obviously didn't want him. They beat Sligo and Tip in the league and lost 5 games, you know. So the meeting was held, and he felt that there was kind of more or less a vote of no confidence in him by the players.
Yeah.
He said, what's the point in going back if they don't believe in me? And I suppose he's right in a way, because what is he going to do, go back and have conflict again, you know? But I suppose Cavan have a future. They have 2 under-21 teams they've won, and, you know, you have the Shawnee Johnson thing then as well. You know, that's very interesting
That's
as well.
story,
You know?
yes. One man did walk away from Gaelic games during the week of his own volition. This is, of course, Stephen MacDonald of Armagh, fabulous player, one of the best forwards, in my opinion. I'm sure, Colin, you wouldn't disagree about that. We've seen in recent years he's retired.
He was fantastic because, you know, he was different to a lot of players that could kick it in high or low or anywhere they wanted in Armagh, and they often did, just lashed the ball in, and he was a real assassin in there, himself and Ronan Clark, in around the goals, and no matter what weight was put into him, he would win it off left and right. He was a brilliant forward, as good a corner forward as has played in the last 50 years, I'd say.
Yeah. And I'd say it would be a compliment to Stevie Mack that a lot of opponents would be glad to see the back of him. Happy retirement. OK, we have another break to take here on League Sunday. Still to come on the programme, an exciting Alliance Hurling League relegation match between Galway and Dublin, both fighting for their survival in Division 1A. That's coming up very shortly. Here on RTE2 Television, we bring you live rugby on Friday night. That's action from the Rabo Direct Pro 12. It's Ulster versus Leinster, and our coverage from Ravenhill starts at 7 o'clock. Welcome back again to League Sunday. Now, Galway and Dublin coming up shortly in the Alliance Hurling League. But this weekend also in Gaelic Games, we had the annual GAA Congress in Kilnard, County Laois. Now, the venue reflecting on the fact that a Laoisman, Liam O'Neill, was installed as the new president of the association, taking over from Christy Cooney. And we wish him well over his next 3 years in office. Really, I suppose there wasn't too much, gentlemen, out of this year's annual Congress. Maybe, perhaps, Colin, the biggest talking point was the change of the rules in relation to the square ball.
Yeah, and that was trialled 2 years ago, and it was a great success, and I couldn't figure out why it wasn't maintained, and I think it's great to have it
and
back.
Just briefly to explain to people what's it
well,
entails.
A forward can now be in the square once the ball is kicked outfield. So, you know, the old rule was unenforceable because you couldn't be in the square before the ball, and you had all these dodgy decisions. Like Kildare have suffered badly. Suffered badly as a result of it. But now you may have the big man kick it in high, he can go in, and it's a pity too that they have this
You
thing.
used to be in the square all the time when the rules, when the rules are different.
That's where a poacher is supposed to be. But the other thing they should have done away with, they should have allowed the charge on the goalie as well, and end up with a few lads in the back of the net. Have a bit of excitement.
Exactly, yeah.
Tony, we've seen during the league campaign teams experimenting with this in anticipation of this rule.
Yes, I suppose, and I suppose the other thing is for the big man full forward is trying to get out of this blanket offence. But I suppose, as Colm said, it wasn't enforceable. It was an educated guess by the referee, and if there was any chance at all that they were in the square, they'd immediately blow and point out any cute referee. He just, no controversy, just blow and point out. But it's great to see it. You know, it will give us more goals, a lot more goal mode action, and more exciting.
All right, thanks, Tony. Now, back to the action on the field. While most of the attention this weekend was on the Alliance Football League, there was also a very important hurling encounter between Galway and Dublin, and neither perhaps expecting to find themselves facing banishment from the top flight of the game. However, that's what was at stake in Tullamore this afternoon, where our commentator was Adrian Eames.
It's a real case of your county needs you, and Joe Canning answers the call. He starts despite missing all of the league with a shoulder injury. James Regan makes way. One other change from the team selected. Cyril Donlan comes in for Andy Smith. Dublin have just returned from an intensive training camp in Portugal over Easter. They're boosted by the return of Peter Kelly, who shipped a knee injury in Galway at the end of February. Paul Ryan and Conor McCormack have recovered from injuries. Ross O'Carroll makes his first start of the year. Durkin away from the challenge. Shooting. He's shade over the far side of the pitch. It's been a scrappy start to the game. A very stop-start. Still we await the first point. The first score indeed. This crucial game, and definitely nerves will be something of a factor, you'd have to suspect, especially for Galway, given the youthful nature of their starting 15, but bolstered by the fact that their talisman has been cast fit to play. Here's another of their big men, Damien Hayes. Hayes lands the first point of the game. Terrific point from Damien Hayes. Confidence about Dublin, even at this early stage in the game. Here's Paul Ryan away from the challenge of Kevin Hines. Ryan lays it out to his right hand side. A chance here for Sutcliffe, and he drills that one in and over the bar. Well, he's had a terrific league campaign, Danny Sutcliffe. Laid off by Paul Ryan, and Sutcliffe drilled it in and over the bar. Cyril Donlan onto it, being pursued by Paul Shute. Still Donlan, he's away, and acres of room to roam into. It could be something, it could be a goal on here for Galway if they play their cards right. Donlan goes for it, he gets up with the rebound, and it's saved by Gary Maguire initially. And well defended by Gary Maguire in the Dublin goal, and Paul Shute completes the clearance. David Burke with the sideline cut. Up they rise, and it's Joe Canning who comes away with it. Makes the angle for himself, and what a clever ball that is. And a chance of a goal here, and another great save from Gary Maguire. Galway tried to profit with the follow-up. Damien Hayes denied. Great spot by Canning to pick out Damien Hayes. Great awareness from Canning, and Damien Hayes went for it, unleashed an effort. Gary Maguire up for the first time to Dublin's rescue. Finds Joe Canning. Canning, Peter Kelly in close attention. Joe Canning, master from Porchumna, goes all the way back out the field to David Burke, and Burke lets fly. As it got the distance, it drops just over Gary Maguire's crossbar. Great score, brilliantly worked by Joe Canning. Canning the master. Well, we haven't seen too much of Joe Canning so far in this game as a scoring threat, but boy, what a score that is. Galway's first of the second half. Look at this from Joe Canning. That's why Galway require him today. Johnny McCaffrey going cross-field for Dublin. Simon Lambert. Well, here's an opportunity for Dublin, and it's Conor McCormack, and he scores! Exactly what Dublin needed right at the start of the second half. And Conor McCormack has supplied the goal. That's a real hammer blow for Galway. Damien Hayes lays it back to Canning, and Canning dispatches that one in and over the bar. And he's beginning to find his range in the second half. The ball breaks loose, Cohen will leave it. This is David Burke. Burke with the offload now to Tony O'Gregan. Tony O'Gregan on the charge for Galway. Slips the ball inside to David Burke, and Burke lays it off to Conor Cooney. Promising here for Galway. Is there going to be an end product? Cooney with the point for Galway, and they're absolutely sailing along now. Patient in the build-up. Conor Cooney initially tried to lay it off. Joey Boland forward. He's gifted it straight to Johnny Cohen. Cohen. Support here. Now Cohen. Plenty of time to measure this one, and he has measured it absolutely precisely. What an excellent point that is from Johnny Cohen. Galway have found their belief here. Boland smashes it downfield. Plenty of power on that one. I'd run kindly here for Dublin. They could have a score with Ross O'Carroll. Blasts it into the roof of the net. Could be a crucial goal for Dublin. And Dublin have their second goal in this game. The Galway defence opened up, and Ross O'Carroll gave Fergal Flannery absolutely no chance. Remains finely balanced here. Joe Canning, first touch did him no favours, but Canning making the most of it, and he's away here. Still Canning, it's Canning all the way. And Canning gets his point at the end of all of that. Onto the ball as it ran loose, away. Brilliant technique. A fine score at the end of all of that. Dublin trying to hit back straight away here. Ball is laid back. A very tight angle. Oh, that's an extremely fine score. Excellent score for Dublin. Scored by Niall McMorrow. Dublin come away with it. Is there going to be an end product here? The ball is worked cross-field. Perhaps an opportunity for Johnny McCaffrey. The ball is sailing in, and it's gone in and over the bar. That's a big score for Dublin laid on here. They managed to work it into space. McCaffrey onto it. something here. They need a goal at this late stage, and they're in danger of coming up just short. And they have possession here, and on the charge, it was Cyril Donlan, and he's been buffeted out of it. It's going to be a free in for Galway. Canning, you feel, will take his point, and they'll see if they can perhaps engineer what could prove to be a winning goal. 2 points down. It's delivered in by David Burke. Loose ball, and the referee adjudges that there was some holding in there. The free in has been awarded. Canning elects to take his point. Still time, not a lot left for Galway. Another 3 minutes are up. Galway have to win it from this puck out. Sent down towards Dublin's right hand side. Now can Galway manage to wrestle possession back here and perhaps engineer the score that would force extra time? The answer is no, because Dublin have possession. Oisin Goff laying it forward. Tony O'Gregan with the pop pass. Here comes Galway once again. It's driven down now. Chance for the equaliser here. It's Canning to go for it, and Canning backed himself, and Canning has scored. We could well be heading for extra time. Joe Canning from Galway's left hand side, a difficult angle. He made absolutely no mistake. Working it all the way back and out, and sent in by Joe Canning, who, thanks to his brilliance, 9 points in the second half, last of which forced this extra time. 2 spells, 10 minutes each way. It is a nerve-wracking time for Anthony Cunningham and for Anthony Daly. There's a red card here right at the start of the first period of extra time. Ryan O'Dwyer has been given a red card. But what a massive blow that is for Dublin, down to 14 men. Well, the advantage clearly now with Galway. Now an opportunity perhaps here for Dublin. Alan McCrabb sends it in. It's Ross O'Carroll. O'Carroll through on goal, is he? And he's been taken down, and it's going to be a penalty. Great work from Ross O'Carroll. Force his way through. David Collins was there. The block came in. He was thwarted. His momentum was held up. Dublin have stuck at it, and they have this penalty to be taken by Alan McCrabb. McCrabb drills it goalwards, and it's gone in. In fact, it's gone for 65 at the end of all of that. And Dublin delivering long downfield, looking for Ross O'Carroll. O'Carroll was in and over David Collins. Dublin supporters looking for the decision here, and now things are getting rather heated. McCrabb been spoken to by Barry Kelly. Dublin changes, and it's a red card for Alan McCrabb. But Dublin down to 13 men, and this is turning into an extraordinary day for Dublin. You see this particular collision once again. McCrabb came in, and he caught the Galway man, David Collins, high. Red cards shown in this extra time spell to Ryan O'Dwyer and to Alan McCrabb. Have to stick at it here. That one sails in for Galway and over the bar. It's 1 point in it. Galway on the attack, managing to work it forward here to Jonathan Glynn. He's just on a matter of seconds, and Glynn goes for his point. Brilliant score from Jonathan Glynn. Just on, and he knocks that one over the bar. Great score for Galway. Meanwhile, Peter Kelly takes this free. Not too much on it, but it may well work out for Dublin. It's swept in and over the bar, and Dublin get the score. It's Dara Plunkett. That could be an important point for Dublin. Martin Quilty delivers it forward. Now can Dublin do something here? It's with Sutcliffe. Sutcliffe leaves it, and the ball just runs away. It squirts away, despite the best efforts of the Dublin man. Heather Carton. 65 to be taken by Niall McMorrow. Big moment for McMorrow, big moment for Dublin, and McMorrow has landed the 65, and it's a fair outcome. Dublin and Galway must do it all over again. It has ended. Dublin 220, Galway 26 points.
All very tight in Tullamore. Joe Canning definitely back, but a very good effort by Dublin to survive with 13 men, and perhaps, well, both might appreciate getting that extra competitive game. Replay back in Tullamore next Saturday at 4 o'clock. OK, that's it then from League Sunday for this week. Now let me just leave you with a reminder about our programme in a week's time. This time the attention turns to the Alliance Hurling League semi-finals, Kilkenny versus Clare and Cork against Tipperary, and we're back again at 8 o'clock here on RTE2 television. Also, a reminder that you can keep up to date with all of the action in both of those matches on the GAA Bio programme, and that's on TG Cahir next Sunday afternoon. But in the meantime, just time for me to thank Colm O'Rourke and Tony Davis, who have been here with me in studio for our football chat tonight. Hope that you can join me again in a week's time. Until then, do take care.